Hey family, and welcome back to another edition of Plant Dominant Dollars with Nina Fletcher. I am your host, Nina Fletcher, and I am so happy to be with you today. Today we are making one of my favorites. This one, it was one of the deal breakers for me when deciding to go plant-based. There were a few things that I sort of decided that I couldn't do without unless I could find a plant-based way of doing them. So today we are making vegan mac and cheese, vegan macaroni and cheese. So I am sure that you will enjoy this recipe as much as I do, and let's get to it. Let's get with the food. So I'm going to go over to our ingredients batch over here. And of course we have our macaroni. Now I've had some questions with regards to macaroni. Yes, there are elbow macaronis that are vegan, made out of vegan, or pastas that are made out of vegan ingredients. And there are also whole wheat elbow macaroni products. You can use whatever works for you. If you can just use the elbow macaroni that comes in the regular bag, or you have specific dietary needs, please go with the flow. Whatever works for you will work for this dish. So let's start here. We have a red pepper, an orange pepper, and if you remember, I said I like these for the balance between the sweet and the spicy, or the sweet and the hot. We have a potato, which I will be rinsing off. I rinsed it and then it looks a little dry, and I get that dry skin. But we do have a red potato. I prefer the reds because they're a lot less starchy and they're more flavorful, and they hold up better once they've been boiled. So I would highly suggest a red potato. We have our garlic. And we have, now you can use either one of these, red onion or shallot. Now the difference between this is that the shallot is just a little bit more well-rounded in taste and a little bit more, it's less oniony, so to speak. Now to be honest with you, I use probably one of each to get, the taste the way I'd like it. And of course, our bottom of the barrel, last carrot in the refrigerator. For this, it doesn't have to be, crisp like Bugs Bunny. It can just be one that is, say, quotes unquote, on its way out. Okay, so now you have a use for it. And our seasoning package, very simple. You remember what this is, right? Sage, very good. See, if you're taking my consultations, you're going to know what the herbs are. So this is sage. And what's this one? Thyme. That is correct. Thyme. Okay. So we're going to move back to our next ingredient, which is the cashews. Now let me explain a little bit about cashews. There are some people who eat them, some people who do not. This is basically what sort of gives it its creamy element. And I suggest that you soak your cashews overnight. But there is a shortcut method, and that is to bring them to a boil and then let them sit for about a half an hour until they plump up. That way when you throw them in the blender or the Vitamixer, they get very creamy. Okay? So these are your soaked cashews. By no means should you use roasted cashews. Raw cashews. And they should be soaked, okay, or else it won't be that creamy. I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Okay, so these are the whole food or food ingredients that we're going to pay attention to as we ramp this thing up. So I have already pre-boiled our pasta. Now, I've left it in the pot for a reason. I want you to understand that I have pretty much put nothing in this pasta. Most people try to put like some olive oil or something in it. Don't do that. It cuts down on the starch. You just got to watch it so that it doesn't boil over. If anything, you may want to put 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt to a whole pound of mac and cheese, just to keep it, you know, from boiling over a bit. So you want to take your pasta and make sure you strain it. And then what you're going to do, most people rinse their pasta. I do not rinse the pasta. You need the starch to help make it creamy. So once you've emptied it out, you do a quick weighted drain, and then you keep it over here until you're ready. Now, again, let it sit because it helps with the starches. So let it sit a little bit while you're doing the rest of the ingredients. All right, now let's get to the flavor pack. Yeah, okay. So the first thing I'm going to use is our onion. Okay, now mind you, if you have a remnants bag, go right on ahead. And if you've been in my consultation, you also know about the remnants cubes. So see, that's why you got to contact me so you can come to class, learn about some of this stuff. So this would be an instance where you may want to use your remnants bag, but at this point, I want to show you exactly what goes into it so you know how to make your remnants or what's in it. So we're going to take an onion. Notice I just did a rough quartering on them. Okay. Plop it right into a pot of boiling water that I have back here. Okay. Now this will go for your remnants next time. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is peppers. Okay. Cut off the tops. Cut off the tops. You know what these are. Remnants, right? Just set them right on out the way. Quarter it up. Goes right into the boiling water. That's ingredient number 2. Next ingredient, I like shallots. And again, perfect for your remnant pack. Now these are small enough where you can just sort of like use one of them, because remember, you already have pretty much a half an onion in the water already. So drop your shallots right into the boiling water. Okay, next ingredient. You know what these are, you tell me. Garlic, exactly. Garlic is sometimes a mystery, so bear with me. I'm trying to get it to go here. I would take probably about 3 cloves. And papers and everything, remnants pile. Smashed into the hot water. Second clove, same thing. Third clove, same thing. And the third one. Now, some people put them in whole. I occasionally put them in whole as well, but I have discovered that by smashing the garlic before I put it in the water, it releases the oils more. So I get a stronger taste. So, smush away. And right on into what we call your remnants pile. Now the next items, I generally put a little bit of a peel on them because I like the inner part and the inner taste, and also because whatever pesticides may be on the outside skin, I'd rather not have that boiling away in my water, right? So, root vegetables, I always sort of give them a nice little peel. Plop it right in the hot water. And again, what's this? Trash. Yeah, see, now I don't necessarily hold on to this for remnants because this is the part that may be holding the most pesticides. So this is not necessarily something that I would recommend putting in there. This is actually trash. Okay? Next ingredient. Sage. And thyme. So we have our sage and thyme together. And they're very flavorful together. Not many people use these two combinations, but I actually like these two combinations together very much. And again, throw them right in. Now our next root vegetable, again, the potato. Give it a little peel. I like to get as much of this off as I can for the same reasons as the carrot. Right? Now, if you're cutting the ends off for some odd reason and you've taken the skin off, you can use that as remnants. Potatoes are alright as remnants, but you want to keep them out. Sometimes it softens the flavor of the herbs. So, I mean, you can use potatoes, but very little potatoes in your remnants. Peels, trash. Potato. Hot water. Put that one in there too. All right. So we have pretty much used all of our ingredients on the plate, at least. And what you want to do is make sure you let that just boil away, probably for about 15, maybe 20 minutes. Now, while that's boiling away, we are ready to make our cashew paste, okay? So you remember those soaked cashews we talked about? All right, so you're gonna take those, and some people have a NutriBullet, some people just have a regular old blender or whatever it is. It works. If you're using an Ulster blender or a regular blender, just make sure you put it on a high, like a blend or liquefy, because cashews can be a little bit tough. So, what you're gonna do, take your cashews, put them right in the blender. You see all that starch in the water? You're gonna use some of that, right? Awesome. And you're gonna put it in your blender, and this is one of those things that you're gonna like put it on and you're gonna have to forget it. You know, just let it go for a minute. That's what I'm talking about. So what you wanna do is make sure that the consistency is nice and creamy. So what you do is you test it like this. And if you feel any grit when you go like this, it's not ready. okay? But if it's nice and smooth like shea butter, so to speak, that is when you know you have it right, okay? So at this time, let me just clean off my hand. What we're gonna do is we have our cashew paste base, right? Oh, that looks so pretty. Ah! Yeah, I do all kinds of neat and fun things. Ooh, neat and fun things with cashews. I'm gonna put it in this bowl. These are light, dreamy, and creamy. That's what I'm talking about. Now, you can call it sloppy, you can call it whatever you want, but I do not clean the blender at this point because you need that in there so that the next portion will incorporate easily, okay? Our root vegetables are ready, so let's take a visit over to the stove and I'll show you a little bit of what we've got here. Okay, so you can see where the water has sort of started turning into a broth. Let me see if I can get my wooden spoon here so you can see a little bit. See? That's vegetable broth. See? And that's generally what you make out of your remnants packet, but I made it fresh for you today so that you understand what's going into the broth, okay? So, what you do, you're gonna take your, and remember I said I do not clean the Vitamixer. I need what's in there for texture purposes. All that goodness. And notice I'm using a slated spoon because I want to be in control of the water content that's in there. Because remember, we've already made the paste and we don't want it to be smushy, right? So I'm going to do this about a tablespoon at a time. That's about a tablespoon. When I'm looking, I'll give it another tablespoon. About 2 tablespoons of what would be the broth. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to put that in until it becomes nice and smooth. And you want to let that go until that also gets a little bit creamy. And I'll let you see what that looks like. See? Nice and creamy. See? Now, here's where our flavor pack really comes in. And now you see all of these nice dried ingredients over here. I'm going to explain to you now what they are. You already have plenty of base flavor in the vegetables. So you don't need a whole lot of salt, a whole lot of anything, because so far we've just used vegetables to flavor everything, and it is enough. But we're going to take it to the next level. So we're going to add just a little bit of salt. I'm saying it's probably, I'm going to measure it out in my hand to a ½ a teaspoon. That wasn't a ½ a teaspoon, hold on. Yep, pinch more would have given me a ½ a teaspoon, okay? We're going to have cracked black pepper. I prefer to crack because it's a little more powerful. And we are also going to put in a little bit of smoked paprika. Okay. We're going to put in a little bit of tahini. Now there's 2 things that sort of give it like the cheesy taste. A tablespoon of tahini will do it. Let's call it a tablespoon and a half. Now, let me show you what I use in the place of, a lot of people will use mustard. You can use mustard, it's good. My thing was I just couldn't be responsible for what is in the jar, and I wanted to see what it was. So I use nutritional yeast instead. I'm going to measure out about a tablespoon in my hand. I'll do about a tablespoon and a half of nutritional yeast. So you can use mustard, or you can use the nutritional yeast. If you decide to use the mustard, you only want to put in there maybe a teaspoon or so. You don't want it to overpower the dish, okay? And you know what? I usually save the other paprika. So at this point, what you do is you put it back on the blender. Make sure it's all mixed up and incorporated. That is perfect. Be very careful because it is hot. Just clean my hands. And the next thing you're going to do, you're going to pour those ingredients into your cashew paste. And now I leave the other cashew paste in the Vitamixer. Some people say, she used a dirty Vitamixer. No, I used it to help assimilate the secondary flavor packet into the first. So now that there's cashew, I guess, base in with the vegetables that I boiled, the fats combine a little bit better. See what I'm saying? There's always a method to the madness. Let me move this out of the way. So now what you do is you can blend and fold this together. And it is at this point that you give it a little taste. Now, I wouldn't add salt just yet. Okay? If it's a little bland, that's okay. That's very good. In fact, that's exactly pretty much where it's supposed to be. I will add just a little bit more salt. Just a little bit. We should be okay. Now, the reason I don't look to have this completely seasoned properly right now is because we are getting ready to move to our pasta, and we have to season that. We're going to season in levels and stages. So, our lonely pasta sitting over there. I'm going to put that right in. Now, mind you, see how it's sticking a little bit? That's good. We need that. We need that for the creaminess of the mac and cheese. Make sure it's nice and creamy. Okay. Now, here is where you do your seasoning. Now, I have upgraded the recipe just a little bit. Here goes. I put in a little sprinkling just over the top of salt. Altogether, I think maybe a tablespoon of salt in this entire dish, which is not bad compared to most macaroni and cheese recipes, okay? You also want to go ahead and put your cracked black pepper. Here is where I use just a little bit of Lowry seasoned salt. You do not have to. That is entirely up to you. Okay? Paprika. And in particular, smoked paprika. To give it that earth. Okay? On occasion, I will use a little bit of the pink Himalayan sea salt. Gives it a little different punch, but we don't necessarily need it in this particular recipe. So what you want to do is mix that all together. And you'll smell the smokiness of the smoked paprika, and that is exactly what you're looking for. Make sure your seasonings are well incorporated. And this is where you're going to see why you keep the starch on the pasta. It literally helps the seasonings to stick instead of just running off. It gives you a much more seasoned pasta. We are almost there. We add our cashew cheese. Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum. And yum, yum, yum. Test it first to see if it's the creamy that you want. I usually add part and then mix it in. Take a look and see where we are in the creamy department. And then if I need some more, I pour a little bit on top. That looks absolutely fab. That looks like the dreamiest and the creamiest ever. Yum. Yum, yippee, yum, 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 yippee, yum. Yippee, yay, yippee, yum. Yum. Okay. Shh. Yeah. That's it. That's exactly where we need to go. I don't need to do much more. What you do is you take it, you stick it in the oven for about 10 minutes, let all the flavors come together, and then it's happy time. Now, while that's in there for about the 10 minutes time, I want to talk to you about why this is a Plant Dominant Dollars dish. Well, number one, you're not buying Velveeta cheese, cheddar cheese, extra sharp and the other. By the time you finish with a lot of cheeses or the real cheeses to make it this creamy, you're probably paying a really, really good $20 in cheese alone. So you're basically cutting that whole thing by using cashews and making it more cost efficient. Now, in terms of those of us who eat out, this is very economical if you can make it ahead. Now, those of you who are watching are very perceptive when it comes to food. You know, I don't have things out here for just no reason, right? This is one of the Plant Dominant Dollars signature sandwiches. And you're gonna have to stay tuned to one of my upcoming videos to see exactly what this is and how it is made. But I'm telling you, you are going to love it. But what I had in mind when creating this particular menu was there's a very popular chain that offers a pit 2. And it's a sandwich and a soup or a sandwich and a side. When you do it the Plant Dominant Dollars way, and you can do it from home, you save a bunch of money and you're able to basically replicate the same recipe over and over again without having to return to that particular establishment to get the thing that you like, right? So what I'm duplicating today is the 2 for 2, the half a sandwich with the one side. And we all know who does that. I don't have to say who it is. But now you can do it at home, and it's a lot healthier, a lot less salt, and it's Plant Dominant Dollars efficient. The pasta used in the recipe, I found this for 33 cents, right? For a pound of it. Generally, you might pay like $1 or something like that. That's cool. You know, but it is a plant dominant dollars dish because the ingredients are extremely inexpensive. Not to mention the fact that if you really take a look at the ingredients, these are things that you can find at the bottom of your refrigerator at the end of a shopping cycle. You have that one last potato, that one last carrot, that one last onion, right? You can't really make a whole meal out of it, but you need a meal, right? Here it is. You have the leftover pasta and the last vegetables in your refrigerator. That's also what makes it a plant dominant dollars dish. All right. I'm going to go ahead and check on our mac and cheese because it's been in here for a little bit of time. And it is looking good. You don't need the whole 10 minutes. You really don't. You can do this. You know, it can stay in there for about 5 to 7 minutes. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for it to just start coming together and getting a little bit creamy. Hold on a moment. And before I serve it up, I generally will take a bit of paprika. Throw that right on top. If you like parsley or if you like breadcrumbs, you can put that on top too, just like you treat any other mac and cheese. And we are done. Let me see if I can lift this up a little bit so you can see it. It's hot, so I'm going to clean the edges, but see? Nice and creamy. Let's serve it up for our what is it, our 2 for 2? I forget what they call it, or pick 2. I'm sorry, it's not 2 for 2. It's pick 2. My bad. I'm sorry. And yum, yum, yummity, yum, yum, yum. We are ready for the taste. Is that not gorgeous? I would love to have my lunches like this, just, right? Exactly. Let's give it a whirl. Plant dominant dollars, vegan mac and cheese. Check it out and tune in for the mystery signature sandwich. Thanks for joining me.
It's the genius.